Galatians chapter 4, verse 21. Again, remember, Paul is on the rant about people who are fixated on the law and fixated on the concept that to be saved, to experience God, you have to be perfect. You have to do everything right, or you'll not be accepted by God. You'll not experience the fullness of God. Okay? Remember, that's the context in Galatians. Galatians 4, verse 21. Tell me, you who want to live under the law, do you know the law actually says, he's a bit sarcastic from time to time. I want to open up your mind, if nothing else. I hope you get something deep and spiritual. If nothing else, I want to open up your mind to the possibility that the gospel writers, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, are sarcastic from time to time. It'll open up your whole mind to the Word. It's amazing. Tell me, you who want to live under the law, do you know what the law actually says? The Scriptures say that Abraham had two sons, one from his slave wife and one from his freeborn wife. The son of the slave wife was born in a human attempt to bring about the fulfillment of God's promise. But the son of the freeborn wife was born as God's own fulfillment of his promise. You get that? These two women, this story in the Old Testament, which is a great story, although a little strange and really not PG, carries a much deeper spiritual truth. These two women represent two different ways of looking at God. One is versus law and one is versus grace. One is, if you do it, God has said it needs to happen, so you need to make it happen. You talk about the stuff that you're waiting on God about. It's probably everything from spiritual stuff, but there's parts of my life I want transformed, I'm sick of them, to I really need to pay the credit card bill. If we're honest. And all of that, God says, look, I have promised to provide for you. And it comes from a mindset of law, and okay, God's promised it, now I got to make it happen, and a mindset of grace, which says, you know what? I ain't got it, I don't know how to do it, but God does. And God will make it happen. You see, Abraham and Sarah are looking at this promise from God, saying, okay, God's promised this to happen, now how do we make it happen? And they do the most logical thing ever. To us, it's strange. You probably already noted that. It's a little weird that, here, take my servant, go sleep with her. That's odd in our culture. Again, back in the day, that was what you did, because the shame of not having a child was so great that you would take your servant, have her bear a child, and take it as your own, and leave the shame off yourself. And that was accepted. So they did the societal practice. There it is. So the thing that you feel like, well, if I do this, I'm going to get God's promise, God's fulfillment. It's logical. It makes sense. It's what you do. But it's two completely separate approaches to God. One that's under law, one that's under grace. Abraham and Sarah go, this is how we make it work. Bam! This will make it work. And in the end, it made such chaos in their family. And in history. From then on. Want to trace some of the challenges that are in the Middle East? It goes back to Abraham and some bad family dysfunction. So that thing that you're waiting on from God, are you doing it yourself or are you doing it on your own? Verse 24, Galatians 4. These two women serve as an illustration of God's two covenants. The first woman, Hagar, represents Mount Sinai, where people received the law that enslaved them. And now Jerusalem is just like Mount Sinai in Arabia because she and her children live in slavery to the law. But the other woman, Sarah, represents the heavenly Jerusalem. She's the free woman, and she is our mother. Verse 28, and you, dear brothers and sisters, are children of the promise, just like Isaac. But you're now being persecuted by those who want you to keep the law, just as Ishmael, the child born by human effort, persecuted Isaac, the child born by the power of the Spirit. But what did the Scripture say? Get rid of the slave and her son. For the son of the slave woman will not share the inheritance of the free woman's son. As we journey on this journey of the 10 promises of a new life, the law Maybe there's been some point, as I said earlier, where you've become discouraged by it. Going, there's no way I'll ever measure up to that. Good. Because what God's all about is throwing you in the middle of a situation that is so much bigger than you are that there is absolutely no hope of seeing it happen. Where you're freaking out going, oh my word, just like they were. Going, there's no way for her to have kids. Not going to happen. The promises of the new life that we talked about, of purity, of passion, of purpose, of honesty and transparency, authenticity, you can't make them happen on your own. And that's the point. Galatians 3 verse 19. Why then was the law given? It was given alongside the promise to show people their sins. But the law was designed to last only until the coming of the child who was promised. God gave His law through angels to Moses, who was the mediator between God and His people. The law is given for you to say, oh my word, I can't do it. I can't make it. This life that I want is so much bigger than I am. It's designed to bring you to the foot of Jesus Christ, who says, I can fulfill it in your life, but you can't.